Ben Whitmore had never noticed her before. Not really. She moved through the glass corridors of Whitmore and Hunt like a shadow that knew it wasn't welcome, ever looking up, never interrupting. Her name was Elise, just Elise. No last name on the staff board, no chatter from the others. She swept the conference rooms after hours, wiped the fingerprint smudges off the founder's portrait in the lobby, and disappeared before sunrise. But last Tuesday night, during the final board meeting of the quarter, Ben stayed late. He'd just fired someone close, and as the silence in the building grew louder than his own heartbeat, he looked up from his desk and saw her, standing there, watching him. She didn't speak, she didn't smile. Her hands moved, 3 small signs. Sharp, fluid, deliberate, and for reasons he couldn't explain, not then, not even now. Ben understood them. Not in words, but in feeling. Like an ache buried beneath memory. Like something he'd forgotten a long time ago, clawing its way back up his spine. You remember now. That's what her hands said. And just like that, she turned and left. Ben didn't sleep that night. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe someone trained her in ASL. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe he was tired, drunk on stress and grief. But the next morning at 6:41 a.m. sharp, she was in his office, waiting. No keycard logs showed her entry. No cameras had caught her. Her ID didn't register on the system. She just appeared. The head of security tried to find footage. There was nothing. Human resources claimed she wasn't in the payroll system. Legal couldn't even find her hiring records, as if she had stepped out of some space in between, half dream, half data breach. And when Ben questioned her, really questioned her, Elise said just one thing, her voice brittle and echoing, as if it hadn't been used in decades. You opened the wrong file, Mr. Whitmore. He hadn't told anyone, not even the board. But she was right. 3 nights earlier, he'd opened a restricted archive folder, mislabeled architectural plans. Inside were grainy videos from 1998, years before he even joined the company. The footage showed a different building entirely. Different floors. Hallways that don't exist now. Rooms filled with faces that looked too familiar, like they'd aged in reverse. And in one of the tapes a maintenance log, muted, timestamp. 3:12 a.m. was a young girl, mopping the floor, her face hidden behind a curtain of black hair. Her movements so precise they looked rehearsed. A man taller than the rest steps into frame, leans in close, and whispers something into her ear. She stops moving. The tape ends. Ben watched it 5 times. Each time he swore, the man in the footage looked more and more like him. When the whispers started, not in the hallways, not from employees, but from devices. From the office intercom crackling late at night. From his iPhone speaker glitching with no call active. Once, from the Bluetooth speaker in his car, when the radio was off. A child's voice, breathy, too close. Asterisk, don't forget the red door. Asterisk, Ben doesn't remember a red door. Not in his office. Not in his childhood. Not anywhere. Until this morning, at 3:09 a.m., he found one dot behind a false wall in sublevel 3. No markings, no handle, just a small child's handprint in faded red paint. Elise was waiting for him there, barefoot, smiling for the first time, and then she said a name he hadn't heard in 26 years. One he hadn't spoken aloud since the accident. One no one could have known, except for his brother, the one who died in that fire. But here's the part I can't explain, not without sounding like I've lost everything. Because the moment she said it, asterisk, the building changed, asterisk, and so did the year on his phone. The phone said asterisk, August 2nd, 1999 asterisk, not possible. Not a glitch, not a daylight savings hiccup or time zone lag. It didn't correct itself. It didn't blink. It just stayed there, August 2nd, 1999. And the more Ben stared, the more familiar the weight of that date became. Like a bruise pressed from the inside, he remembered the smoke, the heat, the sirens, the moment his brother's voice stopped coming through the drywall. And then the sound that came next, which he'd never told anyone about, not even his therapist. The laughter, small, innocent, trailing off into static. But standing in that sublevel hallway, with Elise, barefoot by the red door, nothing felt distant. The air was thick with dust, and something else, something electric and wrong. The hallway hadn't been here before, not on blueprints, not on the emergency maps. And yet, the scuff marks on the tile floor looked old, like generations had walked this space and vanished. Ben turned, needing to breathe, needing to understand, but Elise was gone. The red door was closed now, seamless with the wall. No child's handprint, no visible seam, just concrete and silence. Back in his office, the sunlight looked different. Dimmer, it hung in the room like smoke trapped in amber. His computer wouldn't power on. Neither would his phone. Even the clocks on the wall, those sleek, corporate design timepieces meant to hum with precision, had all stopped at asterisk 3:12 a.m. asterisk. That's when he found the envelope on his desk. No name, no label, just an old-style manila folder sealed with string. Inside, a series of photographs, grainy like they'd been Xeroxed from something older. The first photo, a young girl in a janitor's uniform standing outside the lobby elevator. Her hair concealed her face. The second, Ben's private office, but the furniture was from another era. Heavy wood desk, Rolodex, no computer. The third, Ben himself, or someone who looked like Ben, sitting behind that desk, smiling slightly. Behind him, framed on the wall, was a photo of a boy in a Little League uniform. Ben's breath hitched. It wasn't just a random boy, it was him. The photo was from a league he hadn't played in since 3rd grade. He didn't even know a photo like that still existed. But there it was, in this office. From a time before this office was ever his. Before he could make sense of it, the light above him flickered just once and the intercom crackled, not static. The voice soft, whispering through the hum. Asterisk, asterisk, we told you not to come back. Asterisk, asterisk, Ben staggered back, heart hammering. The room felt smaller, like the walls had shifted closer without moving. He checked the door. It was locked. Not just shut, bolted from the inside, as if someone had reversed the mechanism. And that's when the second voice came. Not from the intercom, from inside the walls. Asterisk, asterisk, this didn't start with Elise. Asterisk, asterisk, he slammed his palm against the drywall, panic crawling through his skin like heat, and then just faintly he heard it. A click. From behind the bookshelf. He yanked the shelf away, books tumbling, revealing a small access panel he'd never noticed before. He opened it, hand trembling, and behind it, nestled inside a shallow cavity, was an old voice recorder. One of those black handheld ones with tiny cassette reels. He pressed play. The recording hissed, the tape crackling. Then asterisk, asterisk, Ben, if you're hearing this, you didn't listen. I told you to destroy the files, not open them. Asterisk, 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 you're starting to remember the wrong things. Asterisk, 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 they're going to try and make you think this is about trauma. But you're having an episode. That you're relapsing, but you're not. Asterisk, asterisk, the voice was his own voice. Older, slower, like he'd lived decades more than he had. Ben dropped the recorder, his knees weakening. This wasn't possible. He'd never recorded anything like that. And yet, the inflection, the way his voice cracked on certain syllables, it was real. That's when someone knocked on the door. 3 slow taps. He opened it. A man stood there, in his early 60s, wearing a maintenance badge that said Eric. His face was oddly symmetrical, kind eyes, smile lines that didn't match the coldness in his stare. Everything all right, Mr. Whitmore? The man asked, voice calm to calm. You look like you've seen a ghost? Ben couldn't speak, couldn't lie either. Have we met? Eric smiled. You don't remember me. That's okay. Not many do. Ben stepped back. Do you work here? I used to. Eric looked around the office, tapping the wall gently. Before the upgrades, before the fire, before your name was on the door. Ben's blood turned to ice. What fire? He asked, though he already knew. Eric's face flickered just for a moment, like static across an old CRT screen. And then he leaned in close, breath warm and acrid. You think this is about Elise, he whispered. She was just the last thread. You pulled it, now it unravels. Ben opened his mouth to question him further, but the lights blinked in. Eric was gone. No sound of footsteps. No creaking door. Just gone. Ben tried to run to find someone, anyone, but the building didn't cooperate. Elevators opened to the wrong floors. Hallways led back to his own office. Windows showed different weather on each side of the building, clear skies to the west, a thunderstorm to the east. It was like the building was shifting around him, like it was trying to keep him in. Back at his desk, his phone finally powered on. One notification, a voicemail, from a number labeled Mom Deceased. Ben stared, a sick feeling crawling up from his stomach. He pressed play, no voice, just breathing. And then, a child whispered, asterisk, asterisk, you left me behind. Asterisk, asterisk, he dropped. The phone. Reality began to unravel. The more he tried to make sense of it, the more inconsistencies appeared in his life. A scar on his wrist that hadn't been there before. Emails in his sent folder written in a tone he didn't recognize. His calendar had appointments labeled Session 12 and Red Door Follow-Up. The coffee in his mug was cold, but he hadn't poured any that day. Photos on his desk changed when he blinked. His mother, smiling in one, weeping in the next, and in another, her eyes scratched out. And then on the far side of the office, he saw the mirror. He didn't have a mirror in there before. It reflected the room perfectly, but not him. His reflection was turned slightly to the left, smiling when he wasn't, mouthing words he couldn't hear, and then it raised a hand, pressed a palm to the glass. Behind that mirrored surface was Elise, only now she wasn't sweeping. She was standing beside a child, hand on his shoulder. The boy looked up. Ben's brother, older now. But it was him. Then the mirror shattered, and so did Ben. The next morning, when the board arrived for their weekly meeting, the office was pristine. Ben wasn't there. His desk was empty, except for one object, a small maintenance badge labeled Elise. No one remembered hiring a maid. No one remembered a CEO named Ben Whitmore. But buried deep in the company archives behind a mislabeled folder marked Vendor Contracts 1999 was a grainy video file titled asterisk, subject number 001, memory lock initiated. The footage is only 5 seconds long. A boy stares at the camera. Behind him, a woman whispers, this is what they don't want you to remember. This is the truth behind what no one tells you. And it's happening again. The video cuts to static. But just before it does, if you freeze frame on the last frame, Ben blinks. Ben's fingers trembled as they hovered above the keyboard. A familiar login screen blinking before him, white on black, corporate font, like any other secure terminal, but the language was all wrong. Not the words, the feel, the way his name was already filled in, the way the blinking cursor pulsed like a heartbeat. This was the terminal hidden behind the server room's false panel. The one IT insisted had been decommissioned after the fire in 2003, and yet, it was running, whispered, quiet, alive. For the first time in hours, or maybe days, Ben felt a kind of certainty. He was going to find the truth, uncover the hidden records, finally understand who Elise was, who he was, and why the walls of his reality had started to leak. It had taken him nearly a week to find this place. At least, he thought it had been a week. Time had become a concept he wore like wet clothes, heavy, clanging, distorted since the mirror shattered and Elise vanished again. Things had only worsened. His memories twisted in his head like audio tape stretched too tight. Familiar faces from the office didn't greet him anymore. Some didn't even see him. One HR employee, Hannah, someone he used to trust, looked directly at him in the elevator and asked if he was visiting for an interview. The next day, her desk was cleared out, and no one remembered she'd ever worked there. But the terminal was real. He typed in the last known override code, something from a dusty binder he'd found in legal misfiled under building permits. The screen flickered, lines of green text rushing past. Before a new window opened, access level, prototype admin, file category, empath profiles, project, name, room red mimlock initiative, Ben blinked, empath. The term felt clinical and ominous at once. He clicked into the first file. A scanned intake sheet from 1998, subject ID 003A, name redacted, notes scrawled in blue ink. Subject exhibits uncontrolled pattern recognition, sees symbolic resonance in unrelated objects. Eyes react to stimuli outside recorded wavelengths, shows phantom recall of locations they've never entered. Particularly responsive to room painted entirely red, refuses to describe content of dreams. There were audio logs too, but most were corrupted. Only one played cleanly. June 7, 1999. A man's voice, we're beginning to suspect these aren't memories at all, they're implants, or echoes. It's not about what the subject remembers, it's about what remembers them. Ben's heart pounded. The next file was labeled 003A final entry. Attached was a grainy photograph, a janitor's uniform folded on a table, a pair of bare feet visible in the background, toes curled slightly under, as if standing on tiptoe. The caption read, subject re-entered the door at 3:12, never exited. And there it was again, 3:12. The moment every clock in the building had frozen. The moment Elise appeared. The moment he began to unravel. This was it. He had the answers. The experiments, the red room, the disappearances. Elise was one of many. The company had been hiding something beneath the surface all along. Something buried in memory research, perception, distortion, trauma manipulation. He could feel the resolution cresting like a wave. He was about to surface. Then he saw it. In the corner of the screen, half faded, was a system alert dated just 3 days ago. Unauthorized re-entry detected. Subject 001B. Match. Whitmore. Benjamin his mouth went dry. He was in the file. Not as a CEO, not as an employee, as a subject, a child file. There was even a scanned document from a pediatric psychiatric clinic, one he'd never heard of before. Patient suffers from false attribution syndrome. Frequently references dreams as events, claims to hear buildings thinking. Recommends full memory locking procedure to suppress feedback loop. Date of discharge, August 3, 1999, the day after the fire, the day his brother died. And just like that, the resolution collapsed. Not just the idea of it, but reality itself. What if the past wasn't a sequence? What if it was a container, something that could be entered and altered from inside? What if he was never the one uncovering the mystery, but someone being monitored within it? He clutched the edge of the terminal, breath heavy, sickened by a rising certainty that none of this was new. Not the hallway, not the wisp, not Elise, that all of it was repetition. like a pattern meant to suppress awareness. D remembered something else. Then, a moment from childhood, a house on fire, running through smoke, but not with fear, with urgency, like he had to get something out before the house was gone. A box, no bigger than a shoebox, painted red. Inside it, a single item, a tape recorder. He had it. He remembered having it. And then, forgetting. The memory of forgetting was clearer than the memory itself, like someone had filed away his panic, carefully labeled, and boxed it up, but forgotten to remove the feeling of loss. Suddenly, the lights in the server room dimmed, and a humming filled the air, not mechanical, not electrical, organic, like a throat clearing behind the drywall. The screen flickered, and then a new file appeared. No icon, just a blinking cursor beside the phrase. Asterisk, asterisk, we never left. You just stopped looking. The cursor typed by itself. Do you remember now, or do you just think you do? Asterisk, asterisk, Ben backed away, bile rising in his throat. The room felt warmer, closer. The terminals, once cold, seemed to watch him. He reached for the power cord to shut the machine down, but it was gone. No plugs, no ports, no obvious exit. And that's when he heard it. Not a voice. A sound, the same lullaby his mother used to sing in the hospital after his first incident, but twisted slower and sung by a male voice. It came from the vents, curling through the room like smoke, like a memory misplaced. He clutched his head, tears streaming without understanding why. When he opened his eyes, a figure stood in the doorway. Not Elise, a man dressed in corporate black, identifiable only by the badge he wore. Empath research observer. He looked like Ben, older, more worn, like someone who'd been looping through the same trauma too long. The man smiled. You solved it, he said softly. Now, let's put it back before it spreads. Ben stumbled backward, hitting the terminal desk. No, he whispered. I didn't sign up for this. I wasn't part of this. The man walked closer. He pulled something from his pocket. A red object. The shoebox. You were the first, the man said. We built this place around you. Every floor, every file, every face, all of it. Designed to hold your memory still long enough to study it. Ben collapsed to the floor, screaming because he remembered now, not the fire, not the building, not Elise. He remembered the experiment. Not from the company, from his family. He had never worked at Whitmore and Hunt. There was no such company. He was a patient, has always been a patient, and the name Ben Whitmore wasn't his. He had made it up the day the nurses showed him the mirror and asked him what he saw. But none of them remembered. Asking because they weren't real. And the story you've been watching wasn't a story at all. It was the loop, the experiment, the empathy trigger. And you've been inside it this whole time, watching from the other side of the red door. But now that you've remembered, you'll see it too. Check the time, is at 3:12 a.m. Ben hadn't left the server room in what felt like hours, maybe longer. The red light from the terminal screen pulsed against the walls like a living wound, and behind it, something was breathing with him. Patient, synchronized. He hadn't touched the keyboard since the words appeared on their own. Asterisk, do you remember now, or do you just think you do? But the screen didn't shut off. It only dimmed slightly, as if watching him think. Somewhere nearby, a distant, mechanical hum rose and fell like ocean tide, and Ben began to notice something he hadn't before. The room wasn't silent. Beneath the whir of cooling fans and recycled air, there was a second layer, a whisper frequency, a voice nearly too low to register, like a transmission buried under white noise. He leaned closer to the wall, and then he heard it. Not just, you, 3 words, fragmented, broken across, static, but they shattered something in him, because they were right. Since the mirror cracked, since Elise whispered his brother's name, since the folder with his intake records surfaced from nowhere, Ben had believed this was about him, his trauma, his memory, his loop. But what if it wasn't his nightmare at all? What if it was everyone's? That thought was still forming when the flickering red light revealed something new on the floor. A symbol, scratched into the dust by something sharp, long ago. A circle divided vertically by a line, and on each side, a spiral curling inward, one clockwise, the other reversed. He stared at it, breath catching in his throat, because he'd seen that symbol before, drawn in the condensation on his car window 3 weeks ago. At the time, he'd thought it was nothing, a coincidence, but now he remembered the dream that followed that drive, trapped inside a windowless room, unable to speak, while masked people stood in a circle around him, humming in unison, and every one of them wore that symbol on their wrist. The whispering started again, this time, layered, overlapping, more voices. Not just one, but several, some speaking English, others broken, stuttering, coughing through phrases like, asterisk, asterisk, backdoors open, ... asterisk, 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 you were right all along, ... asterisk, 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 they reset you every time you asked the wrong question. Asterisk, 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 remember room red ... asterisk, asterisk. He tried to record the audio on his phone, but the moment he hit record, the whisper stopped. The file corrupted instantly. He checked the time. 3:12 a.m. Again, in the hallway outside the server room, every light buzzed in warning. A trail of fluorescent strobes pulsed rhythmically, guiding him to the east stairwell somewhere no map of the building included. Every few steps, he noticed small changes, signs replaced with blank metal plates. Security cameras turned toward the wall, photos of employees whose eyes were all burned out digitally, their names replaced with strings of code. One frame was cracked. Beneath the glass, the image looked like Elise, but her uniform was all wrong. A military patch on the arm. Unit 003A Phase 1 Observer. She wasn't cleaning, she was surveilling. Ben ran. The stairwell door had no handle, only a fingerprint pad. Instinct told him it wouldn't recognize him, but it did. The lock clicked, and he was pulled into darkness deeper than any unlit corridor should allow. Inside, the walls were lined with corkboard strings connecting articles, names, dates, and Polaroids of strangers. Every face seemed familiar but not in a human way. Familiar like a half-formed dream or the people you pass in crowds and later realize you've never truly seen. And written over the entire board, in black ink, scrawled like it was done in shaking hands, was a phrase that made his blood still asterisk. There are others, you've seen them. They're watching too. Asterisk tacked. Beside it was a list. Names he recognized, some from the office, some from his childhood, and others from headlines he couldn't place but knew instinctively were real. Each had a note beside it. Greater than asterisk. Angela C. disappeared during intake assessment. Believed to have broken the recall loop. Greater than Noah Imware during Red Door event, experienced auditory feedback. Removed from system. Greater than Chris, are communicated through mirror successfully. Terminated during reset. Greater than Whitmore. Be active. Perception breach. Monitored. Asterisk at the bottom of the list. In fresh ink. Greater than you. Greater than status. Waking. Greater than asterisk. Do not trust the next voice. Asterisk. Ben stumbled back, breath shattering in his throat. A wall-mounted monitor blinked on without being touched. It showed a live feed not of the building, but of him, sitting in his office, smiling, talking to an unseen guest. And across the screen, someone had scrawled in red marker, asterisk, that's not you. Asterisk, it was a loop, not of memory, but identity. He was being played through like footage, rewritten, scrubbed, and reset. And whoever or whatever was doing it had gotten very, very good at hiding the seams. Then the lights blinked. He wasn't alone. A woman stood in the corner. Short, pale, hair pulled back. Not Elise. Different. Younger. Her voice was calm but cracked at the edges, like it had been screaming for decades. I know you think this is about you, she said, but you're just the first who broke containment. The rest of us, we've been trying to talk to you for years. Through dreams, through reflections, through signs you ignore. Ben couldn't speak. She stepped forward. She didn't look entirely real. Her edges shimmered, like bad compression on a video. The government didn't build this, she whispered. They just licensed the tech. What you saw on the files was the surface. But room read wasn't a facility. It was a condition, a shared state recursion model designed to erase dissent. They put us here when we asked too many questions. When we remembered too much, he tried to ask her name, but she shook her head. We don't have names anymore, just designations. Mine was Observer 4, but before that, I was someone's sister, someone's daughter. I don't remember their faces now. I only remember the sound the tape made when they played it backward. The lights dimmed again. The whispering returned, but now it was directional, all coming from behind one wall. The girl touched Ben's hand, cold and flickering. You need to see this before they pull you again. The wall cracked, and behind it was a projector ancient running on its own. It played a film, real film, not digital. Grainy black and white surveillance. The timestamp read, August 2nd, 2003. Ben watched. He saw children sitting in a circle, being told to draw the room. Each child drew the same thing. A square space, entirely red, with no doors and only one mirror. In each drawing, something stood behind the glass. Not a person, a shape, no face, just eyes. Watching. The camera pans slowly over each Sard's face. Ben was the last one in the circle. His drawing wasn't red. It was black. And instead of a mirror, he'd drawn a television, and on that screen was a message. Asterisk, they lied to you. Asterisk, the film stopped. The girl was gone. The projector began to smoke, melt, collapse into itself. Alarms screamed, sirens that hadn't blared since the first loop. A fire warning on the wall flickered without sound. Asterisk, empath, containment breach, initiate, observer, shut down. Asterisk, Ben sprinted. Through dark halls, past the photo walls, the whispering, the static symbols drawn into the dust. But as he reached the lobby, bare and colorless, now something else became clear. Others were already standing there. 5 of them, men, women, 1 child, silent, watching him. Each bore the mark, the spirals, the circle, the line. One woman held a piece of paper, On it, scribbled, greater than asterisk, asterisk, the loop is dying. We saw you, remember? Greater than you're not crazy. They just didn't expect you to survive this far. Asterisk, asterisk, Ben looked around. The windows showed no streets, no city, only a void, humming with static. The child stepped forward. We didn't find you through the dream. We found you through them, he said, pointing somewhere behind Ben. Ben turned. But there was no one, only his reflection. Smiling again, still sitting in that office, waiting for someone to knock. The lights went out, the feed cut, the story ends. There, or at least, the footage does. But if you've made it this far, you already know this wasn't a story, it was a memory. Asterisk. Yours. Asterisk, and now that you've seen it, they can't reset you without noise, so keep listening. You're not the only one anymore.